Making wheels for your mountain bike, or in this case my downhill bike, is very difficult and requires a lot of stuff. The first thing you're going to need is some hubs. These are Hope Pro 4s. They sound awesome and fast. They come in lots of cool colors. They also come in lots of widths, which is very important because you need to make sure that you get the right width for your bike. Over here is for where your rotor attaches, and over here is for your cassette. This one's for the front of your bike, and it has a spot for your rotor, but obviously not a spot for a cassette. It has a huge hole in it, and it has 32 holes all around here. These 32 holes line up with your rims. These rims are brand new Stance Flow MK4 rims. You're also going to need a lot of spokes. These attach from your rims to your hubs. These come in lots of different varieties, and as I've learned, they're $1.50 each, so you can do the math. What holds on these spokes is your nipples. I've gotten 3 colors because that's my bike's theme, these 3 colors. So they just look like that. You're gonna put on some valve stems with valve caps. You need one for the front and one for the back. Once these are on, we're just gonna slap on some Stance rim tape, put a tire on, and hit the trail. There's only a few tools that you really need to build your wheel. The first thing is a truing stand. You don't really need this because you can also just use a zip tie and build it on your bike, but this makes life a lot easier. The next thing you need is some spoke prep. This acts like a glue and glues your spokes onto your rims. If you don't have this, your wheel might fall apart, so this is pretty important. You also need a spoke tightening wrench. These come in lots of sizes, so make sure that you get the right size. This you definitely don't need, but it is nice to have. The spoke tightener. Wait, what's it called?
Tensiometer.
Tensiometer. Oh yeah, to do the tension. You're going to need your bike's regular axle, and this is because this goes right into here. And then just take this part out. And it will hold your wheel in place while you build it. Oops. So now, let's get into it. Spoke prep comes in 2 colors, and this is because if you have 2 different length. If you have 2 different length spokes, then you can keep track of which one is which. Basically, this is just like painting. I mean, I'm not an artist, but at least I've done that before. So I'm just gonna open this up. One down, 71 left to go. So it's been a while. My hand's cramping. I painted like more than half, so I'm just gonna give up and only do one wheel and come back to this later. When I'm done, I want where my valve is going into my wheel, which is right here, to line up perfectly where it says Hope. So I'm gonna teach you how to do this.
The logo you want to do, this is where it gets a little bit complicated, but actually it's...
So how you find your starting hole is you're gonna go to your logo, wherever you want it to line up with, and then find the hole that lines up perfectly with it. So for me, it's this one right here. Then, however many of a crosses you're doing, which I'm doing 3, you count over to the left that many times. So I'm gonna count 1, 2, 3, and you install it this way. If you have J spokes, like I do, make sure that the head is out like this, so it looks nice and smooth. It's very important where this key spoke goes on your rim. So how you're gonna calculate this is you hold this up, and then since we went left on the hub, you go 1 left on your rim. So I'm just gonna count 1 over and put this in here. Then we're gonna take our nipple and just do a few turns, and we'll come back and tighten that later. This is what holds tension in your wheel. Now we're gonna go put a spoke in every other hole in our hub. Now we're just gonna take our next spoke over, and then we're gonna count 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one's just gonna go right in there. So now I need to find out which nipple to do. So it'd be red, blue, silver, red, blue. Then we just repeat the process all the way around. We flipped our wheel over because we're ready to get started on the next side, but first we need to make sure that we'll be able to get a pump in here. So we're just imagining a spoke here and we see that it will line up, so a pump will fit in here. Also, we need to make sure that right here it's pointing right at our logo, which it is. Now it's time to locate the key spoke on this side. So what we do is we follow our key spoke from the other side down, and then we trace this across, which would be right here, and then we go one to the right. So right here. Then we put this in. Because we went one to the right over here, we're also going to count one to the right. So right there. Just like the other side, now we're going to put a spoke in every other hole. So this one here. I hope I'm not doing this wrong, because if you guys are watching this and I'm doing this wrong, I'm going to be very embarrassed. Now it's time to finish lacing our wheel. So what we're going to do is we're going to come from the opposite side and stick our spoke in and then pull it through. And then you're going to go over. I'm going to go over 2 spokes and then under the last one. So this is because it's a 3 cross, so it's over, over, under. So then we're just going to stretch this. Just wiggle it in. And then attach our nipple. Okay, 1 down. A lot more to go. So I was watching Joe Kintner's video of how to build a wheel, and she used a spoke to put her nipple on because otherwise you might drop it into your rim. I'm almost done with this side of the wheel. I have 1 to go. This is my first time and I'm starting to get the hang of it, but one thing I've learned is this is very frustrating. Now we're just gonna flip this over and do the same thing on the other side. So now this is my last spoke. I'm almost done with this wheel and it's starting to look really cool. So now it's time for the next step, and you're gonna need your truing stand. I've never actually used a truing stand before, but it seems pretty simple. There's 3 knobs. This knob here tightens these so you can get it real tight on your wheel and snug. This here moves this arm, and then this knob here moves how far apart these hands are. So now we're gonna put our wheel in. So we just take the axle and then we line it up in here. I've never done this before, but we're gonna tighten these so that the tension is right on every single spoke. So what I've learned is that we wanna make these so that 2 threads are showing. So you can see this one right here there's like not very many showing, and then over here, there's a lot showing. So we're just gonna adjust these. Put this on. We're done. These are quite loose and floppy, so they each need 2 turns. So you just put the key on, then we do this all the way around. So we've been around 1 time, and now we get to play with our spokes to make sure that it's good. So we just get to squeeze them a little bit. Now we finished our second round of spinning, so now we get to play with them again. This takes a lot of getting used to, and it's pretty tricky. So I've gotten very fast, just like a speed turner. Don't worry if some of them are tighter than the other ones, because later we go and adjust the tension. So I guess this was a learning opportunity for us, because as you can see, these wheels are asymmetric, and so we've lined it up backwards. So we put the fatter side of the wheel over here, but obviously it's not very straight, so we need to take this all apart and start over from the first. So we've just finished moving this over. How we did it is we just put the different rim side by side, and then my dad just moved each spoke over one at a time, just like that. And I then had lunch, and I managed to smell my shirt, so had to go change. Unlucky, because that's a really good shirt, but it's okay. We've done just a little bit of tension on the nipples, and so now it's time to stress it, which is where we were like squeezing it, but it's getting pretty hard to squeeze, so there's a different way to do it. So how you do this is you go and you can put like just a blanket or anything on the ground, and then you just push down on it like this, and you spin it a little bit, push down, spin, push down. And you can flip it and do the same thing. The reason to do this is just to make it so that the spokes move around a little bit. So any wiggle or movement they're gonna do, we can just get it now to make them all even. Okay, so now we're gonna put this back into the stand and begin truing. That sound makes me happy. Let's get started. But I guess my dad was wrong, because if you look at it, now the asymmetry it's way off now, because to line this up, we'd have to put so much tension on these spokes. So now we need to go change it again, to put it back to how it originally was. So we've just finished making all of the tensions equal on every nipple, and we use this tool to do it. So how this works is you just follow the dash, and so you squeeze this, put the spoke in it, and then when you squeeze back, depending on how tight it is, it will give you a number. So I can demonstrate. So I'm just gonna put this on here, just like that, and squeeze. See, we're somewhere around 12 or 13. So that's good, they're all around that. So now I'm just going to spin this and look for any big walks or wiggles. So there's one. So you can find where it starts. Yeah, right there to here. So for those ones, we're going to need to tighten it to pull it over. But if we only tighten, then this side of the wheel, like from here to here, will just get extra tight, and we don't want that. So we want it to all have the same amount of pulling. So we're actually gonna tighten one from the right side, and then loosen one from the left, and tighten, loosen, tighten, loosen. So we're gonna do each one of these about 1/2. Oof, still off. So after each couple big changes, we're just gonna go back over here and do our little pushing, de-stressing thingy. Got it. So we just finished doing up and down, and now we're gonna do side to side again. So apparently what's called the dish is off a little bit. So as you see, when I spin it, the entire thing's always on the left a little bit. So we're just gonna go every single spoke on the right, we're just gonna tighten a little bit. So these are both done now. I did do most of it myself, although there was definitely a video game break. So thanks, Dad. But this was my first time, and my favorite part was doing the truing because it was so fun to just get it perfectly right at the end and really satisfying. And it was easier than I thought because it did take time, but it was the same movements over and over again, so it was kind of relaxing and soothing in a way. And next time I need wheels, I'll definitely do it myself because that was really fun, and I would definitely do the whole experience again.